Welcome to High School OT Live. Here's your host, Nick Stevens.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to the second round of the state playoffs. I'm Nick Stevens here in Raleigh. It's a Thursday night, first of 3 days that we'll have second round games across the state of North Carolina as Hurricane Nicole, or the remnants of Hurricane Nicole, move through the area tonight and tomorrow. So games have been moved around. We have all of those schedule updates for you on High School OT right now. We even had a few come in late tonight. One game moved to Saturday, so we will keep you updated on all that. But it has been a wild night in the second round of the playoffs. If you're a 5 seed playing tonight, you've had a bad night. Not a single 5 seed won. Every single one of them was upset tonight, at least the ones that played. There's some that will play tomorrow or Saturday, but we're going to go through all of those upsets for you tonight. There have been a lot of them. If you have the High School OT app, you've been getting alerts throughout the night about those upsets, and there are a lot to get to. Let's bring in Brennan Doherty. Brennan is at our score desk tonight. And Brennan, you and I have been going back and forth all night about all these upsets. There are some still being played that may turn into upsets here. I know one we're watching is Jacksonville and Havelock. Can you update us on where that one stands right now?
Sure, Nick. And really, like you said, it's been nonstop tonight getting these updates, these crazy scores, these games going back and forth. But right now we have Jacksonville winning 49-42 over Havelock late in the fourth quarter. Havelock had tied the game at 42-42 on an interception return for a touchdown, but Jacksonville answered right back. They're up by a touchdown again, but that game has been super crazy. And I'm actually just seeing now that Jacksonville, this is from Chris Miller at Jacksonville Daily News, Jacksonville recovered a fumble with 2 minutes and 44 seconds left. So Jacksonville in good shape on the road at Havelock to score a major upset.
Yeah, that's a big upset. If you are watching from Eastern North Carolina, you know that Havelock's lost a few games this season, but they are a perennial power in Eastern North Carolina for sure. We're going to bring in the brackets here, Brennan, and we'll start in 4A. I want to go through some of the upsets first. And right now, the biggest upset I think that a lot of people are talking about in the 4A East, the defending state champion, the Cardinal Gibbons Crusaders, fell tonight 42-30 to number 12 Millbrook. In normal times, I'm not sure we'd call that necessarily an upset, but by seeds they are. That was a fun one to pay attention to throughout the night, wasn't it, Brennan?
Yeah, one of the interesting themes tonight, and we'll talk about it more with Jordan and Pinecrest as well, but teams kind of on the brink needing to, score touchdowns just to stay in games. And that was the case in Millbrook Cardinal Gibbons tonight. Millbrook was losing 27-13 in the second half and needed to score a touchdown on a 4th and goal situation to make it a 7-point game. If they don't score there, then, they're probably not winning. But instead, the Wildcats close on a 28-3 run to win on the home turf for the defending state champs, like you said.
That wasn't the only upset in the 4A East so far tonight. The 13-seed Southern Alamance beat number 4 New Hanover 38-32 in overtime. And you mentioned Jordan. Jordan came from 18 points down at halftime to beat number 7 Pinecrest. Jordan, the 23-seed, 32-28. And now Jordan will travel to New Bern in the second round. No upsets in the 4A West. Only a couple games being played in the 4A West tonight. So not much to talk about in terms of upsets out there. But if we go to the 3A West, there are some upsets. Again, a 12 over a 5, 12-seed Ledford beat number 5 Northwest Cabarrus 42-27. Number 14 Cress beat number 3 Oak Grove 42-15, and number 23 Eastern Guilford beat number 7 Irwin 62-42. Now, Brennan, we've been paying attention to South Point and Dudley. South Point, the 11 seed, has been leading Dudley, the 6 seed, much in the night. What's the latest in that one?
So yeah, it's really been a crazy performance for South Point on the road at Dudley, the defending 3A state champions. Right now, South Point is winning 69-41 over Dudley in the fourth quarter. Here's a fun fact for you, Nick. Those 69 points from South Point, more points than Dudley had given up in its first 11 games of the season combined. Mm-hmm. So South Point's offense is really getting the job done, to say the least, on the road at Dudley tonight.
Yeah, that Dudley defense has been a real strength for them this season. We'll move over to the 2A, go through some upsets here. We're going to go through all the scores tonight over the course of the show, but a couple upsets in the 2A. 2A East, the 12-seed Wallace Rose Hill beats the 5-seed Northeastern 35-31. And in the 2A West, the 13-seed Bunker Hill beats the 4-seed Community School of Davidson 41-40. And in 1A, just one upset so far in the 1A West, the 12-seed Hayesville beats the 5-seed Christ the King 14-10. to 13. Brennan, anything else notable going on right now that I have not hit on yet? I know we've got a bunch of games still being played at the moment.
Well, we just got an interesting final score in 3A East. I believe Eastern Alamance winning in overtime, 27-24 over Williams. Williams had jumped out to a 21-0 lead in that game, and they also had a chance to kick a game-winning field goal at the end of regulation. They couldn't make that field goal. It went to overtime, and Eastern Alamance, the 2 seed, wins 27-24, narrowly avoiding the second-round upset.
Yeah, you'll see that'll get updated there on that bracket here momentarily. They will take on the winner of 10 Scotland and 7 Terry Sanford. Scotland up 48-45 at last update on that one. Do we have anything more recent on that one, Brennan?
No, we'll have to keep monitoring that, but that game has been full of scoring. I'm sure it's still early in the fourth quarter, so expect some more scoring changes in that one for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Brennan Doherty is going to keep us updated throughout the night with scoreboard checks. Brennan, let me know if you have anything urgent. We'll get right back to you.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, we mentioned the 4A East tonight and some crazy things happening in the 4A East. We are going to bring in Benjamin Pruitt right now. He was at Pine Forest and Holly Springs. Pine Forest, the 9 seed, upsetting the 8 seed. I don't know if we can call it an upset, an 8-9, but they get the win on the road nevertheless, 16-10. Benjamin, they trailed 10-0 in the first half and came back, got the win. Tell us how that happened.
I really think that the rain had a lot to do with it. Pine Forest seems like their offense was just keep it on the ground and run. I think they only attempted 3 or 4 passes the whole game. So that's really where their strength was. And Holly Springs just couldn't keep up. They're more of a passing team, and they just couldn't catch the ball in the second half. And then Pine Forest just kept rolling and brought that score back.
So what allowed Holly Springs to jump out to that quick lead?
They had some large plays. Number 11, one of their wide receivers, he was able to make some large catches in the first half, first quarter, some that were more than 50 yards, 60 yards. And they were able to Pine Forest wasn't able to hold on to the passing game. They're more of a run defense, run offense. And so they just weren't able to keep up with that. But once the rain came in and once everything kind of settled down, they were able to walk their way back up.
Pine Forest has played some close games in the playoffs. This game 16-10 in first round. They beat Fuquay Varina 21-20. Talk to us about the fourth quarter and what transpired there. Did Holly Springs have opportunities, or was the Pine Forest defense just that dominant throughout the second half because they didn't score?
I think the theme of the fourth quarter and the second half was just fouls and penalties. Holly Springs had a couple plays where they ended up being first and 33, first and 34, and they just kept getting pushed back by their own mistakes. They just weren't able to get anything chained together. They had some good long plays, but they just weren't able to connect them one after another and move those chains. They were just in their own heads. They had the home court advantage. They had a really large crowd, and they had a lot of support, but they just weren't able to make things happen in the second half.
And you can see here on the 4A East bracket, the right side of your screen there, the number 9 seed Pine Forest Trojans will go on the road to the 1 seed Hillside. The Hornets hold on tonight, 46-43 against Apex, another team from the SWAC, just like Holly Springs. So we'll see if Pine Forest can pull an upset on the road at the number 1 seed. All right, Benjamin, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you. You have a good night too.
All right, we're going to go back to Brennan here. He's got a overtime update for us. Brennan, tell us what you have.
Yep, just had a new final score in 2A East, 11 seed Hertford County winning at number 6 West Craven, 44-43 in overtime. So I don't know exactly what happened in the overtime period, but that one was really back and forth all night. And yeah, it came down to the wire. Hertford County escapes with a 1-point win at number 6 West Craven. And you asked earlier about an update on Scotland, Terry Sanford. We have one for you. Scotland is winning 55-52, with just a few minutes left in the fourth quarter. So both teams over the 50 mark, and there's still time left in that one. So we'll have to monitor and see if Terry Sanford has yet another score in him. But we'll keep you posted, Nick.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, we actually just got a comment from one of our viewers. I'll pull it up here. Shout out to Floyd Brown, 55-52, 217 left after a long touchdown run for Scotland. So we will keep an eye on that game, let you know what happens in that one. All right, Brennan, let me know if you get anything else. We'll get back to you in just a few minutes.
Sounds good.
All right, let's head east to the 1A state playoffs. Southeast Halifax on the road tonight at the top seed Tarboro. We're going to bring in Ryan Jones. Ryan, you were out there for us tonight covering this one. The 17 seed had its hands full, and Tarboro scored 35 points in the first quarter en route to a 48-0 win. Tell us what all went down in the first quarter of that one.
Actually, the first quarter, Nick, I really thought the first drive by Southeast Halifax was really, really, really good. And they got all the way down to the 20-yard line, Nick. And once they got to the 20-yard line, Tarboro tightened up. And, the thing that people have been questioning all season is Tarboro's pass coverage. Southeast Halifax ran every offense known to mankind against Tarboro tonight, and it was just total domination. And Tarboro has a two-headed monster with sophomore Mason Satterfield and freshman Cameron McDowell Moore, who can pretty much run the ball, catch the ball, do it all. And it was just total domination. And actually, Tarboro threw the ball tonight. I tell you, man, that's a miracle down here in Tarboro.
You don't see that a lot, that's for sure. But hey, they do it. When they do it, oftentimes it is effective, and it was tonight, I guess. Talk to us about this Tarboro team. Are they a big play team that we're going to see make big plays, or were these a lot of methodical drives, 3, 4, 5 yards, or will we seeing big runs setting up touchdowns?
I tell you, the first quarter, well, technically the second half, Tarboro had big runs. One from Trayvon White, 40, 50 yards. One from Mason Satterfield, 50 yards. Cam McDowell had 20-yard runs and 25-yard runs. They're not your typical pass and spread offense team, but they're very explosive runs. And the thing about Tarboro this year, Nick, is that Tarboro is extremely deep in the backfield. I mean, every year they're always pretty deep. They can run the ball by committee, so it's not a lot of wear and tear on those two backs, even though they're the main attraction in the backfield. But they have a plethora of backs who run the ball pretty well. So they're going to be very explosive. This is their time of the year, playoff time.
Yeah, they came into this game off a bye. Sometimes when you have a bye week in the first round of the playoffs, you come in, kind of slow after having that week off. Didn't seem to be the case.
Not at all. Not at all.
Well, so next week in the third round of the 1A playoffs, Tarboro will be hosting Riverside, the Riverside out of Martin County, a team they're very familiar with, conference opponents for quite a while. What do you think? Is it going to be just do what Tarboro does, or do you think there might be something special that Tarboro does next week?
You know what, Nick? After high school OT's last RPI ranks, I think Tarboro still has a salt in the wound, I guess, as I should say. And I think it's going to be at home in Tarboro, Title Towns, they call the bucket. I see total domination from Tarboro. Tarboro beat Riverside, honestly, in the trenches. Riverside couldn't block Tarboro. If Riverside can't block Tarboro next week, we may see another running clock.
Yeah, well, in high school football, if you don't win up front, you're going to have a hard time winning. That's for sure. All right, Ryan, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we got an upset alert for you. Brennan, we're going to bring you back in and tell us what you have.
Yep, just went final in Havelock. 20 seed Jacksonville, 49. Number 4 seed Havelock, 42. So Jacksonville, they lost this regular season matchup just by 2 points about 5 or 6 weeks ago. Second time around, they come out with the win, and what a win it is. And they'll move on to the third round. And thanks to a couple other upsets, they'll be facing Triton in the third round of the 3A playoffs. So two teams with 20-plus seed marks next to their names. But, hey, someone will be moving on to the fourth round of the playoffs out of that matchup. So, again, Jacksonville, they jumped out to a 21-0 lead. Havelock definitely got back in the game. They tied it up in the second half, but Jacksonville able to hold on and score the road upset against a conference foe.
Well, add another upset to the list.
And
all right, Brennan, we'll check back in just a minute. All right, we're going to take our first break of the night. We will be back in just 2 minutes where we're going to hear from Kyle Morton about the Wild Hillside Apex game. That's next here on the High School HSOT Live postgame show.
Do you have the Breeze Through VIP Rewards app? For every $1 spent in-store and for every gallon pumped at a Breeze Through location, you can earn points to trade for a variety of your favorite snacks and beverages, or for savings at the pump. Don't forget the member deals, only available to VIP members. Download the app on the App Store or get it on Google Play and start earning rewards today.
When you see a WRAL certified accurate forecast, you know it's been verified by the largest team of meteorologists with the most powerful tools in North Carolina.
We personally write every alert and send them directly to you so that you'll always know when severe weather is at your doorstep.
Tracking severe weather or everyday weather, no matter where or how you watch. Always local, always live, always protecting what matters to you.
And that's coverage you can count on.
Hey, conductor, how about something new? You played this last year.
Come on, get your head out of your sacks.
Shh, we're trying to hear.
Well, I'm sick and tired of hearing your kid play the wrong notes. Where's my kid solo?
At least you can see your kid. Why is my kid stuck way in the back?
The conductor only plays his favorite.
My kid heard that solo!
You see my kid?
Yeah!
Wake up with the most watched.
Thanks for making us part of your routine.
Whether you're a 4 a.m. type or an 8 a.m. type.
Only one team is all local all morning long, alerting you first wherever you are.
Building on fire.
So get the forecast you need to plan your day. Check out downtown Raleigh and traffic to get you wherever you need to go smoothly. Plus, breaking news and local coverage.
This is exactly what parents have to go through.
Tomorrow morning, every morning, watch WRAL Mornings.
All right, welcome back to the High School OT Live post-game show. We are getting some more information in right now. We're going to bring Brennan Doherty back in. Brennan, we have another upset.
Yep, just went final. Number 11 seed, South Point in 3A, 74, and then they topped Dudley 74-41. Dudley, the 6th seed, losing at home. The defending 3A state champions, they go down against South Point. And here, how's this for a little sweet revenge for South Point, Nick? Last year, they lost at Dudley 38-0 in the playoffs. This year, they put up 74 points on the same field. They'll be hosting Crest in the next round. Crest upset Oak Grove tonight.
Yeah, and if people are just joining us here on High School OT Live, we just let you know before the commercial break, Havelock, the 4 seed, lost to 20 seed Jacksonville 49-42.
Nick, we have this literally just came across Twitter from the Scotland official account. Terry Sanford completed a Hail Mary and won 58-55 over Scotland tonight.
Oh my gosh. It's been a wild night of high school football across North Carolina. Brennan, can we walk everybody through what is still going on right now, the latest updates we have on games that are still active?
Sure. It's going to, there are not many games left, Nick, but that was the big one. That was the main one that we were still monitoring. Terry Sanford winning 58-55 over Scotland. Again, another crazy high-scoring game. Let's see here. There's only I'm not sure if we have any active games left. The only game that we believe is still going on is Rosewood beating Warren County 42-8 in the fourth quarter. So that one should be near completion. But other than that, all our final scores for tonight are in, Nick.
Yeah, and that game is a little bit later. They had a soccer game to play before they could play the football game tonight because the soccer playoffs also going on. Everything trying to get squeezed in here before the weather tomorrow. By the way, we do have all those soccer scores updating for you on High School OT as well. All right, Brennan, let me know if we need to come back to you. We'll check in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
All right, we had a wild game in the 4A East. The 1 seed Hillside had to hold off Apex, the 16 seed. That's a little bit misleading of a seed, but Kyle Morton was there for High School OT. He is now in his car out of the elements. Kyle, tell us what went down in that one tonight. A lot of points scored.
Yeah, a crazy first half, 30-27 for Hillside over Apex at half. Apex jumped right on them, 7-0, and then 7-6, and then Apex made it 14-6. So the Cougars looked like they were ready to pull an upset early, but it's been the same story. It was the same story it's been all year for Hillside. Jamil Williams and Wilson Cargbo Jr. in that backfield making plays. Williams had 3 touchdowns in the first half. And then Carbo just kept finding his receivers. Tahir Henry, a couple others made some big plays down the field, a couple nice touchdown throws. I was really impressed with Carbo seeing him in person. Really good footwork. The ball comes out of his hand really nicely. Certainly someone to keep an eye on for our All-State team later. But then the second half, a little more boring in the third quarter. Hillside kind of seemed to have it under control. There was only one touchdown in the third. They added on. And then they score again to go up 2 touchdowns plus a field goal, or 19 basically in the third. And then Apex gets 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions to get within a field goal. Onside kick with a minute left, and Hillside's hands team makes the play. So they're able to kneel it out from there.
You mentioned Wilson Cargbo Jr. We had him on our postgame show last week after they beat Hope County. We have a large group text that just has been going on for years. And in that group text, you said he is better in person than what we see on High School OT Live on Friday nights. I'm not surprised by that. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's a really good quarterback. Tell us what you saw in person that makes him so good for Hillside.
His footwork and his pocket presence really stood out. So when Apex was able to get near him or collapse the pocket a little bit, he didn't panic at all. He kind of knew when to take off and use those legs of his, and when to just kind of step forward and deliver the ball. The footwork is really strong, and like I mentioned, the ball comes out of his hand really nicely. He has good velocity, good zip. He places the ball very well. So it's those types of things that kind of, I think, differentiate the great high school quarterbacks from the good ones, is how good is their footwork and how calm do they stay when the pocket collapses a little bit.
All right, so we've been following a lot of the top teams in the 4A playoffs that are left. Do you think Hillside has what it takes to go the distance in the 4A East after seeing them in person?
I do, and on our first episode of Roundtable, we were going through our picked regional finals, and you thought you were going to be out on a limb picking Hillside New Bern, and then I joined you on that limb. So I stand by that. Obviously, the Gibbons losing to Millbrook kind of makes that look a little more likely of a scenario, but this Hillside team is special. We've kind of been hearing buzz and been able to see that on film on High School OT Live kind of all year, but to see it in person, they know they have some things to clean up on their defense. I think Apex, in kind of that creative scheme, exposed some things a little bit, but I think they kind of got a good homework assignment in this game. But that offense can carry them a long way. Cargbo and Williams are super dynamic, and if they can hold teams to fewer points than what Apex got on them tonight, they'll be feeling pretty good against basically anyone that's left in the East, I think.
All right, so Hillside will now host the 9 seed Pine Forest after Pine Forest beat Holly Springs 16-10. They scored 16 unanswered to come back down 10-0 after the first quarter. How do you see that one playing out? This is not a Pine Forest team that puts up a bunch of points typically. Hillside obviously can. Do you think it's going to be a defensive battle, or do you think we're going to see a lot of points scored?
I think Pine Forest, that's a very well-coached team with a very good defense and defensive scheme. My guess for how that plays out would be that Pine Forest is maybe able to frustrate the Hillside offense early, and then I think eventually Hillside's talent probably takes over, and I'm not sure that Pine Forest has the explosiveness to keep going or keep up with them. It's a tall task, a really tall task for a defense, no matter how good it is, to keep this Hillside offense from making those explosive plays for a whole game. And Pine Forest has the defense that could do it for spurts here and there, I think, but it's a big order to do it over a whole game.
All right, Kyle, before I let you go, I have some bad news. The Carolina Panthers are beating the Atlanta Falcons 19-9, and it's almost the fourth quarter.
That's horrible.
Kyle and I are both pulling for the best draft pick possible. So,
yeah.
All right, Kyle, we'll see you when you get back.
All right.
All right, let's keep things moving here. We're going to head to Alamance County. Jack Townsend was at Williams in Eastern Alamance for us tonight. And Jack, that game just ended just a little bit ago. An exciting finish. Eastern Alamance escapes the upset, 27-24, the winner tonight. Tell us what went down, because that was an exciting one.
All right, well, Williams, they just started out hot. They came out and scored 3 touchdowns within the first half. Their third touchdown coming off of a missed high snap in the Eagles' deep end zone, or deep end. And right after those 3 touchdowns, it seemed like they were going to close out the half and go and stay at 21-0. But Eastern Alamance, they came up and got two quick ones right before the half, capitalizing on some mistakes there. Heading into the second half of the game, third quarter was back and forth, a couple punts. During the whole game, there were flags, plenty of flags on each side of the ball. And once it got time for the fourth quarter, these teams decided to turn it up just another notch and got it kicked going again. We headed late into the game, and it was 21-14 starting the fourth quarter. Eastern Alamance was able to score fairly early with 9:28 left, tying it up 21-21. And we get down to the late areas of the garbage time area of the fourth quarter, where Williams had intercepted it at the 25 with 25 seconds to go left in the game. They went for the field goal to try and get the win, but it was blocked by Eastern Alamance, sending it into overtime.
And Eastern Alamance, weren't they down like I've seen so many scores tonight, so tell me if I'm wrong, but weren't they down like 3 scores at one point?
They were going into, I believe it was the second quarter, they were down 21-0.
Yeah.
That third touchdown for Williams came at 3:26 left in the second. So going into the half, they were just about up 21-0.
That is quite impressive to come back in that fashion in any game, but definitely in the state playoffs. I've just pulled up the 3A East bracket, and you can see Eastern Alamance will now host Terry Sanford. Terry Sanford beating Scotland with a walk-off Hail Mary tonight, 58-55. So both of those teams coming off exciting wins, close wins in the second round. They will now meet in the third round. All right, Jack, we appreciate it. Have a safe trip back.
Thank you.
All right. I just mentioned that Scotland Terry Sanford game. If you weren't with us just a little bit ago, Scotland was winning by 3. Terry Sanford, Brent, I'm going to bring you back in here because you were actually following this on Twitter. Terry Sanford scored a walk-off Hail Mary to make it 58-55. Now, on Twitter, Brandon Hodge from the Laurinburg Exchange has shared video of this play. I want to bring it up here. I don't know if we made this full screen. And we can watch what happens.
Yep. Looks like it goes just right through the hands of the Scotland defensive DB. And
I'm going to roll that back here. Almost intercepted and right into the hands. I don't have a roster in front of me, but number 19. Wow.
That's why they preach, knock it down. Don't try to catch it as a DB. Just knock it down. But hey, for Terry Sanford, you couldn't have asked for a better final play than that. And also on a similar note, just a historical note, I want to bring up a tweet by Dion Cranford, who is kind of an expert on Scotland and Richmond high school football in particular. He says that was the most points scored against the Scots in a game going back to 1974. Terry Sanford's 58 points tonight. So a historic performance by Terry Sanford with their point total, and obviously an historic final play as well that will be remembered for a long time.
That's impressive. I tell you what, while we're looking at the 3A bracket, we did not get a chance to go through this bracket in detail earlier, particularly on the west side. So let's do that real quick before we have to take our next break. We'll start on 3A West, left side of your screen there, and you can see that Ledford, one of the 12 seeds, beating the 5 seed Northwest Cabarrus 42-27. Again, if you weren't with us at the top of the show, every single 5 seed that played tonight lost. Not a single 5 seed won tonight. So now Ledford will go on the road to face the 4 seed East Lincoln, who beat 13 Tuscola 35-7. And further down in the 3A West, the 14 seed Crest beats the 3 seed Oak Grove 42-15. They will now travel to South Point, the 11 seed, The 11 seed South Point beat Dudley 74-41 tonight. That is just amazing because that Dudley defense has been amazing all season. I don't really have any words for that. 74 points on Dudley is very impressive by South Point. So now South Point will host Crest in the third round. Eastern Guilford pulls an upset. The 23 seed puts up 62 points and beats the 7 seed Irwin 62-42. They will get the winner of 15 West Rowan and 2 West Henderson. They play tomorrow night. And on the east side, Northern Nash, the 1 seed, gets a win over rival Southern Nash 27-12. They will host Southern Durham, the 9 seed. Southern beat 25 seed Vance County 27-7. Triton keeps its run alive. The 28 seed beats the 21 seed Hunt 35-16. They will now travel to the 20 seed Jacksonville. Jacksonville upset 4 seed Havelock 49-42 tonight. And on the bottom part of the 3A East, you see the 3 seed 71st holding off 14 seed JH Rose 28-20. They'll get the winner of 6 seed North Brunswick and 22 seed Lee County in the third round. They play on Saturday. And then Terry Sanford, we just talked about this one, the 7 seed 58-55 winners over 10 seed Scotland on a Hail Mary, walk-off Hail Mary. They will now travel to Eastern Alamance. Eastern Alamance erased a 21-point deficit and beat Williams, the 15 seed, 27-24 tonight in the 3A East. So a lot of really good football tonight across the state. All right, we will be right back after a quick break. We will have updates from Eastern North Carolina, from Leesville Road, Wake Forest, from Southern Alamance, New Hanover, and down in Charlotte. The only game in Charlotte, Olympic and Independence. Joel Bryant was down there. That's right after the break.
It made perfect sense. I come here every day because of the great customer service and friendly atmosphere. So I bought my Breeze Through Lifetime Refill Mug. For only $19.99, I got a stainless steel mug and get free refills forever. Or grab a regular refill mug for $9.99 and enjoy discounted refills every time you stop by. I couldn't imagine going anywhere else.
Show your support for the best in the Triangle in the WRAL Voters' Choice Awards presented by M&F Bank.
From takeout to weekend getaways.
Cast your vote online at WRAL.com/VCAs. And remember, voting ends November 20th.
Welcome to my new holiday outpost at WRAL's Nights of Light. My elves are hard at work preparing the holiday selfie stations, crafts, and more. And of course, Mrs. Claus and I'll be there. Reserve your visit now.
Hey, conductor, how about something new? You played this last year.
Come on, get your head out of your sacks.
Shh, we're trying to hear.
Well, I'm sick and tired of hearing your kid play the wrong notes. Where's my kid solo?
At least you can see your kid. Why is my kid stuck way in the back?
The conductor only plays his favorite.
My kid heard that solo!
You see my kid?
At WRAL, we have the tools.
Storms are firing up on the Dual Doppler 5000 radar.
We have the team.
We are live here in downtown Raleigh on Fayetteville Street.
And WRAL News at 6 has the people you've known and trusted for decades.
I'm Deborah Morgan.
And I'm Gerald Owens. We begin tonight with breaking news. Every night,
everywhere.
I'm Mark Boyle in the WRAL Live Center this afternoon.
No matter how you're watching.
And that's coverage you can count on.
Welcome back to the High School OT Live post-game show. I'm Nick Stevens. The second round well underway across North Carolina. Most second-round games were played tonight. We will have a few tomorrow and a couple now scheduled for Saturday because of the weather. You can get all of those schedule updates right now on highschoolot.com or on the High School OT app. We've got a bunch of people to get to here in this block, and we're going to start with Kai Jones of WJG Sports. Kai, you had a couple games you hit tonight. We'll start with Nash Central, Green Central. Nash Central gets a 36-28 win in that one. Tell us what went down in that game.
Really, the thing that I saw was Green Central really struggled with Nash Central's wing tee that they like to run, and really just they looked like they were chasing ghosts all night long. I think eventually they got a little bit of a hang of it because they were able to hold them scoreless in the fourth quarter. But I think Nash Central jumping out that quick was just too much for them to handle. Of course, they end the season 10-2, which is a great season for Green Central. Probably one of their better ones in school history, and I think Nash Central kind of continues that little bounce back that they've kind of had since last year.
So Nash Central, I'm going to pull up the 2A East bracket here. They will now host the 12 seed Wallace Rose Hill, perennial power out of the East. You have any thoughts on that one?
That's one of those ones where it's like, oh, right, well, we got a good win. We're going to the third round. Congratulations, you get Wallace Rose Hill. That's
supposed to be hard at this point, though, right?
Right. Of course, at this point in time, this is where some of the heaviest of hitters come out. But I think that matchup for Wallace, I favor them in that game, just knowing how much speed and talent they have. But Nash Central, if they can get out early and control the game, I could see them having I could see them being able to pull it out. But I definitely heavily favor Wallace in that one.
All right, you had another game tonight in the 1A East. This one kind of a late start because of some soccer. The 14 seed Warren County at number 3 Rosewood. Rosewood got the win in that one, 49-16. Was that as dominant as the score looked?
Well, Rosewood on the sidelines, they were pretty upset because Warren County actually came to their 50 and was trying to start some nonsense, and so I think that just charged them up, and they pretty much came out and dominated. Warren County got Rosewood describes it as kind of an easy score that they shouldn't have gotten there to make it 8-8, but then they came right back with a kickoff return touchdown, and then from there it was just Rosewood just ran over them. And I think in the second half it just really showed the difference in talent between the two teams, and I think Rosewood they are feeling like this is their chance where they can make a very deep run. They haven't made a deep run since really 2018 when they lost at the goal line against Pamlico County.
So in the third round, Rosewood, the 3 seed, they're going to host the 11 seed Hobton. Hobton went on the road tonight, beat Southside 42-34. Have you seen Hobton this season? I know you've seen a lot of Rosewood. But have you seen Hobton? Do you know what to expect in this one?
Hobson and Rosewood actually already played in the Rosewood. I told some of the players that Hobson had won, and they were very excited because they thought Southside would be the tougher matchup. But Hobson, they throw the ball a lot. They have some good wide receivers and good quarterback, and of course, a very good head coach. And I think it is always scary when you have to play a conference opponent when you come to the playoffs, but I feel like Rosewood is going to walk into this one pretty confident. They are really focused on trying to they want to at least get a shot at trying to knock off the Tarboro T. So I think that's kind of where their goal is, of course, but there's 3 more games left before they could get to that. So they know they have to focus on it week by week.
And tell us what we can expect from WJG Sports here tonight, the second round.
Of course, you can go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube. We have some highlights also from Princeton's game tonight where they beat High Trask, and we'll have some highlights from both Rosewood and Green Central's games. And also as well as Cleveland, I'll be at Cleveland and Roseville tomorrow, so you can expect some coverage from there as well.
All right, Kai Jones, we appreciate it. Safe travels back.
Appreciate you, Nick. Have a good one. Thank you again for the platform.
Yes, sir. Have a good night. All right. We're going to move back to Wake County, a big game in the 4A East. Leesville Road on the road at Wake Forest, another rematch from the regular season. Devin Masson, Money Down Football, here with us now. He was at that game. Devin, Wake Forest, the score anyway, looks pretty dominant, 45-21. Is that how it felt watching it in person?
It didn't in the first quarter, Nick. I mean, for the first 8 minutes of what we had was a 14-14 game. So Wake Forest scored on their very first possession, turned the ball over. Leesville scores twice, and they're actually down. And then Wake Forest comes back, scores. It's 14-14. At that point, you're thinking it's a ball game. But, yeah, it got ugly after that.
Tell me, what did Wake Forest take advantage of in that one? I mean, we know they have so many playmakers. Was it offense, defense?
Their offense was clicking today. Their defense still looks like a couple of people are hurt. But offense was clicking tonight. They were really being able to run the ball at will against Leesville. I think that was the difference maker. I think also Nigel Lucas had a really good game. I don't know how many receptions he had, but he had a really good game. They were actually able to air it out quite a few times.
Were you surprised at how Wake Forest pulled away in this one? I mean, they played Leesville the first time around and beat them pretty handily. Also, they were coming off of that loss to Cardinal Gibbons after that game. So I think a lot of people kind of attributed that to, an angry Wake Forest team, which you don't really want to play. Were you surprised at how dominant they did look, though, especially after that first quarter?
I wasn't tonight. Like you just mentioned, I feel like sometimes for Wake Forest, they do feel like the underdog sometimes, with everyone always looking at them, in the past. This was kind of more of a statement win. You kind of worried in the beginning, but then Wake Forest was Wake Forest after that. I thought it was going to be this way. And, the matchup tomorrow, Cleveland and Roseville, Wake Forest will play the winner of that. So they're awaiting that game. I think that's got a lot of potential to be a really good game next week, whoever they play.
You beat me to it. I'm going to bring in the brackets here. We're actually on the wrong part of the bracket. Let's go down to the bottom here. So Wake Forest will get the winner of 6 Cleveland or 11 Rolesville. And if it is Rolesville, that's going to be a big-time rematch of a thriller from the regular season. I think you were at that game, right?
I was at that game. I think a lot of people, they kind of don't know, unless they're from this area, that Wake Forest Roseville was a school at once. It was one school. Wake Forest Roseville was the name. Over time, it became one Wake Forest and one Roseville. Since then, it's become a rivalry. You have Heritage down the road at 3 miles. I think it's 3.5, and Roseville's a little over 7. So big matchup, big rivalry. Both schools, honestly, they've had a couple of kids. You take my kids, I take yours with transferring. But it's a heated matchup every time they play, and it's always close. There's never I blew you out. It's always a close game to the end.
So what are you expecting from that? If we see Wake Forest and Roseville, what would you expect?
For me, I think Wake Forest, their offense has to click. If Wake Forest's offense is clicking, I think Wake Forest takes the game. It's really key on which defense is more dominant that game. Whoever wins the defensive battle wins the game, in my opinion. That's really what it's going to come down to.
Have you seen Cleveland this season?
I haven't. Brandon Corbett, who films, one of the co-owners of Money Down, he is a big Cleveland guy. He's from Clayton, went to Cleveland. He's filmed 3 or 4 games. We've had a couple of other Money Down people cover him. I love Jackson Bird. He's a very talented young quarterback. But I do like – I'm trying to think of the name. Isaac, I think his name is. He's a senior wide receiver, plays on the defensive side too. He's kind of that difference maker for Cleveland. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Cleveland. I think the game tomorrow will be really close.
We're going to hear from Cleveland coach Scott Riley later on in the show tonight, looking ahead to that one. And that's one question I'm going to ask is, do you feel like you are kind of under the radar after the last several seasons? And, with guys like Amarion Hampton, it's hard to be under the radar with him. So, all right, Devin, tell us what we can expect from Monday Down Football this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had coverage tonight. We were over at the Millbrook Cardinal Gibbons game as well as my Wake Forest Leesville game. We had quite a few other games. I think we had the Terry Stanford game, which you showed that highlight. So I'm hoping to see that pass myself from our angle. I'm trying to think of some of the other games we were.
That might get you some views on Instagram.
Holly Springs and then that Apex Hillside. So that was just tonight alone. Weather permits, I think I'm headed to East Forsyth tomorrow. I want to see the East Forsyth go. So a lot of coverage on Money Down. We'll have a couple of game recaps as well as some highlights on our Instagram page.
Sounds good. Well, Devin, we appreciate it. Have a good night.
Absolutely. You too.
All right. We have another big game to get to down along the coast, Southern Alamance at New Hanover tonight. We're going to bring in Tim Howard of Coastal Preps. Tim, you had an exciting one. I know it's a result of down in Wilmington, but man, that's what playoff football is about. Tell us what happened. 38-32 Southern Alamance in overtime.
Yeah, terrific game. A game that that both teams competed super hard in, and scored. Just kind of kept going back and forth, and kept converting 2-point conversions. Southern Alamance jumped out to an early 16-0 lead, and kind of forced New Hanover's hand a little bit, because they do have a really good kicker. But when they scored, they needed to go for two to kind of get back into the game, and it looked like Southern Alamance was going to win in regulation, went down and scored with 49 seconds left and made the 2-point conversion to go up 32-24. But New Hanover got the ball back and scored within 24 seconds. I think they went 4 plays in 24 seconds and scored, and then made the 2-point conversion to force overtime. New Hanover got the ball first in overtime, couldn't do anything, decided to go for it on 4th and goal from the 11 and got sacked. That gave Southern Alamance the ball, and it only took them 2 plays to get into the end zone for a big victory. And I was really impressed with what Southern Alamance did. It's nothing fancy. They line up and they run the ball down your throat, and they do it really well. They attempted 1 pass in the game, and so they didn't need to throw the ball. And great job to Southern Alamance. A great season for New Hanover. Exceeded expectations down here. I think a lot of people thought maybe they'd finish 2nd or 3rd in the Mid-Eastern Conference. They ended up winning the conference, went on the road and beat Butler in the non-conference. So, nothing to hang their heads up about for New Hanover. A really good season.
So walk me through exactly how Southern Alamance won that 2-score lead, and then how New Hanover got back in it. What adjustments were made? What changes happened? Because when I saw that score at first, I was like, what, more?
Yeah, it was, Southern Alamance got the ball first, went down, had no problem just running the ball right down the field and scored. New Hanover on the second play of their opening series had a snap go about 6 feet over their quarterback's head, and Southern Alamance was able to recover and then went down and scored. So just like that, 16-0. But like you said, New Hanover did adjust a little bit. They got their running game going. Went under center a little bit more and started running the football really well. And then the defense, was able to kind of get one really big stop that they needed to get the ball back. And then were able to go down and score again to tie the game and send the game into halftime tied. And then, both teams just kind of went back and forth in the second half. Not too many stops. There were a few turnovers in the game, but for the most part, the offenses were kind of doing what they wanted all night long.
I know you were in this game tonight. You were at New Hanover. Hoggard had a big game on the road at Newbern. Got the 21 lead. We're going to talk to Newbern right now in just a few minutes, but I don't know if you heard anything about that game or not. Anybody were you impressed with holding Newbern? I know Hoggard didn't score, but we've seen Hoggard a lot, and their defense is so strong. What are your thoughts on that, and how Hoggard did?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I thought Newbern would score north of 35 points in that game, and I knew it would be really difficult for Hoggard to score at all. So, no moral victories, obviously, especially in the playoffs, but to hold that explosive of an offense to 21 points, says a lot about how good that Hoggard defense was this year. I was just looking at some stats, and Newbern, of course, ran the ball like they always do, didn't attempt a single pass in that game, ran for 390 yards. So they got their yardage, but Hoggard obviously did a good job of bowing up in the red zone and not allowing, the points to be scored. And then offensively, Hoggard just, when their quarterback went down midway through the season, it really just hurt them offensively. They became so one-dimensional in the run game, and they weren't very strong in that run game, like a team like Newbern, Southern Alamance, Wake Forest. I mean, those teams, that's what they do, is run the ball. Hoggard wants to be balanced. When they lost their quarterback, that really hurt them. But yeah, I mean, 21-0 to answer your question, certainly was a closer score than I expected.
All right, Tim, tell everybody what they can expect at Coastal Preps this week?
Yeah, I'll have some updates. We had 5 area teams still alive in the playoffs, so 4 of them got to play tonight. We've got North Brunswick still alive down here as well. They'll play Lee County on Saturday, so I'll be at that game on Saturday, so people can check, for updates on Twitter at Coastal Preps on Saturday if they want some updates from that North Brunswick Lee County game.
And we're going to talk to Lee County coach Steve Bordeaux a little bit later in the show, looking ahead to that one. So good tease there.
Yes. All right.
All right, Tim. Thanks for joining us.
All right, Nick. We'll see you.
All right. Joel Bryant was in Charlotte tonight. 1 game in Mecklenburg County, Olympic on the road at Independence. Most games in Charlotte still scheduled for tomorrow. We're going to bring in Joel now to talk about that game. Joel, you did not have an upset tonight.
No. And I wouldn't classify a lot of these games as upsets personally. But
well, we have to go by seeds in the playoffs.
That's true. Listen, the hotel Wi-Fi is a little spotty, so if you lose me, just cut it off because it's bad right now.
We put Joel up in the hotel because he's going to be in Charlotte this weekend covering football.
Listen, the front desk person said that they got the free waffles for breakfast. There's nothing better than a free waffle at a hotel in the morning, so I'm excited about it.
Well, you were at Independence tonight. Independence got the 55-6 win over Olympic. I was expecting that to be a little closer. Not shocked Independence won, but tell us what went down.
Yeah, it felt like Olympic kind of came out playing on their heels a little bit. Independence came out as the aggressor. They really, from the very first drive of the game, it was a 3-and-out for Olympic. Then Independence went down the field. Actually, no, they scored on their first play of the game, a 67-yard pass from Justin Little to Sincere McIntyre. And from that very first play that Independence had, they rolled. I think it was 27-0 at the end of the first quarter, and then they had 42 that they had. They were in the 40s around halftime, so it was a running clock, which I was not expecting.
Yeah, very shocked by that as well. This is your first time seeing Independence in person this season. Tell me what impressed you most. Were there particular players you think could be players that take this team deep into the playoffs?
That sophomore quarterback, Justin Little, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but you can tell he's a very smart player. He's got he can be mobile with his legs, and he's got a pretty good arm. But the most impressive thing is the way he can read the defense. They ask him to do a lot. He has to read a lot of different coverages, and he does a lot of read option stuff, and he seems to make the right choice most of the time. He gave Olympic so many problems. He just found every weakness in that defense the whole night. And for only being a sophomore, it's pretty impressive just how well he sees the game right now.
I'm going to bring up the 4A bracket here. The West is on the left side of your screen. You see Independence moving on to the third round. They will get the winner of 1 Grimsley and 17 Charlotte Catholic. Grimsley is a team we've seen a lot of. You saw Charlotte Catholic last week. What are your thoughts on any potential matchup there, depending on who wins that game tomorrow night?
Well, I wrote that game could be that Catholic Grimsley game could be one of the turning point games in the 4A. Because Independence knows Catholic so well, right? If you're Independence, you probably want to play Catholic again instead of play an unknown force in Grimsley that you haven't seen before. The first game, Independence, they only lost to Catholic by 1 point. So, and they know that team very well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that game turns out. 2 very different teams between Grimsley and Catholic, 2 very different philosophies, very different sets of players on those 2 teams. But you would probably think that Independence would like to have Charlotte Catholic win that game so they can be at home next week as well.
I think people always want to be at home if they're able in the playoffs. That's obviously an advantage. Tomorrow night, you're scheduled. I'm going to say scheduled because we don't know what's going to happen with the weather at this point, but you're scheduled to be at Mallard Creek and Huff. Huff, the 5 seed, Mallard Creek, the 12 seed. Break that one down for us. What are you expecting to see tomorrow night?
Well, that's another rematch from the Queen City Conference. Mallard Creek won 13-9 the first game around. But we're seeing a lot of different rematches. We saw a lot tonight where they ended up being defensive battles in the first matchup, but in tonight they kind of exploded more offensive ways. So I'm interested to see if that happens in that game. Those 2 defenses are very good. There's really no telling what's going to happen. I'm very interested to see how Huff looks. Normally, Huff is kind of perceived as a team that really dominates in the regular season, but when it gets down to it in the playoffs, they kind of come up short. So they're really trying to they're looking to kind of overcome that. No, I don't want to say stigma, but basically that whole narrative that has surrounded them their whole, basically the whole program. So it's going to be interesting to see that one.
I want to go through some of these other games in the 4A West. We've not spent much time on that tonight. Mount Tabor on the road to East Forsyth tomorrow night. Do you think East Forsyth is the heavy favorite?
Yeah.
All right, straight to it.
Well, East Forsyth had their way with Reagan, and then Reagan had their way with Mount Tabor. So just using the transitive property there.
We've got Northwest Guilford on the road at Watauga. The winner of that game will take on Weddington. Weddington shut out Cox Mill tonight, 30-0. What do you think about that potential matchup?
Those two teams we don't really know how good they are because they've only lost to really good teams. Watauga lost to Burns, who I think is incredible. In Northwest Guilford, they lost to Grimsley and East Forsyth. So there's no telling where exactly those two teams stack up in that second tier there in the state. So that's going to tell us a lot. Chambers
on the road at AC Reynolds. This is an interesting one to me. Chambers the 10 seed, AC Reynolds the 7. Do you think I hate to put it this way because they're the higher seed, but I think everybody assumes Chambers is going to be the favorite in that one. Do you think AC Reynolds has a chance?
I would agree that Chambers is the heavy favorite, but they're going to have to come in not necessarily thinking that way, right? So that they probably know that they're the better team, but it's going to take some discipline on their part to just handle business against AC Reynolds. When Reynolds is good, they're really good. So, and they seem to be really good this year. But Chambers, the last however many years they've been doing this, it's a force, right? So it's just going to come down to them taking care of their own business.
And finally, the 15 seed Butler on the road at number 2, Mooresville. Kyle Morton is scheduled to be there for us tomorrow night. What do you think about that matchup?
Well, I think what we're seeing is I think the Southwestern 4A might be really good.
You think?
I don't want to say it's like on the same level as that Queen City Conference yet, but the fact that Catholic went up and really just dominated Reagan last week, Independence just destroyed Olympic tonight. That whole conference is kind of showing out pretty well in the playoffs so far. So Mooresville, they're probably honestly not the favorite in this game. That's probably people will probably expect Butler to
win. In 30 seconds or less, you do have a Friday game preview coming up tomorrow morning, right?
Yes. It should be a lot shorter than this morning's.
Tell everybody what to expect from that.
Well, I think how many games we have tomorrow? Like 10 now? Because 2 of them were moved up.
We are down to, give me a minute, I'll get it pulled up here. We have 13 games still scheduled on Friday, 2 games on Saturday now.
I'll probably include the Saturday games into it as well. But I've been doing these previews before each round, and I kind of like look into each matchup and find what the main interesting, I think, turning points are in that matchup. So I'll be doing that for tomorrow's set of games as well.
All right, Joel Bryant in Charlotte this week for us. Enjoy your stay and your waffles tomorrow morning.
I will.
Thanks, Joel. All right, we'll be back with the second hour of the High School OT Live post-game show after a quick break.
Do you have the Breeze Through VIP Rewards app? For every dollar spent in-store and for every gallon pumped at a Breeze Through location, you can earn points to trade for a variety of your favorite snacks and beverages, or for savings at the pump. Don't forget the member deals, only available to VIP members. Download the app on the App Store or get it on Google Play and start earning rewards today.
WRAL's Nights of Lights is back with thousands of new lights. Along the route, you'll encounter 30-foot-tall dinosaurs and a brand new 250-foot animated tunnel. Get your tickets now, as some experiences are already sold out. Stop by the brand new Holiday Outpost and meet Santa. Ho, ho, ho! Get your tickets now at WRALNightsOfLights.com.
Wake up with the most watched.
Thanks for making us part of your routine.
Whether you're a 4 a.m. type or an 8 a.m. type.
Only one team is all local all morning long, alerting you first wherever you are.
Building on fire.
So get the forecast you need to plan your day. Check out downtown Raleigh and traffic to get you wherever you need to go smoothly. Plus, breaking news and local coverage.
This is exactly what parents have to go through.
Tomorrow morning, every morning, watch WRAL Mornings.
Hey, conductor, how about something new? You played this last year.
Come on, get your head out of your sacks.
We're trying to hear.
Well, I'm sick and tired of hearing your kid play the wrong notes. Where's my kid solo?
At least you can see your kid. Why is my kid stuck way in the back?
The conductor only plays his favorite.
I can earn that solo!
You see my kid?
Welcome back to the High School OT Live postgame show. I'm Nick Stevens. We're in hour number 2 of the postgame show here on a Thursday night in the second round of the state playoffs. 49 games played across the state tonight in the second round. We still have 15 more to go. 13 still scheduled for tomorrow. 2 already moved to Saturday. If there are any more schedule changes, we will be sure to keep you posted throughout the day tomorrow. But right now, I want to bring in Brennan Doherty. He is at our high school OT score desk. And Brennan, it has been a wild night. You and I have been going back and forth all night long. If anybody has the high school OT app downloaded, and if they don't, they should, they have been getting lots of push alerts with upsets throughout the night. We want to go through some of these updates, Brennan, and I'm going to start in the 4A East. Let's tell you what, let's actually bring up the 4A East bracket and show everybody what we're talking about. That might help everybody put this into perspective. The East is on the right side of your screen. Hillside, the 1 seed, they avoided an upset from the 16 seed Apex tonight, 46-43. Brennan, Hillside was up big in the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden Apex came roaring back and made it a 3-point game with just a few minutes left.
Yeah, really interesting game. Apex came out strong in the first quarter. I think they were winning 14-6 early, but like you said, Hillside really gained control in the second half. Looked like they were going to run away with it. I think they were up 46-28 in the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden Apex rattled off 2 touchdowns. I think there's a 2-point conversion in there, and then all of a sudden looks like Hillside had to recover an onside kick just so they don't. They almost got nervous at the end there just to hold on, but. Credit to Apex, tough place to go on the road, and they made a game of it.
They will now host Pine Forest. Pine Forest on the road. The 9 seed beat the 8 seed Holly Springs 16-10. I don't know if we can call that an upset or not, just an 8-9 game, but Pine Forest did get the win. They'll now go to Hillside in the second round. All right. Now let's talk upsets. At least by seed, Millbrook 42-30 winners over Cardinal Gibbons. That's a 12 over the 5. And now they will host Southern Alamance, the 13 seed, who upset New Hanover 38-32 in overtime.
Yeah, that's a really interesting matchup. Southern Alamance, like Joel wrote in his preview for today, they have a pair of 1,000-yard rushers going into their game against New Hanover tonight. So definitely a clash of styles with Millbrook. But, if you're Southern Alamance, you're almost feeling like you're having a free hit at this point, and maybe a little bit the same for Millbrook having survived Cardinal Gibbons on the road. I think that's going to be a really interesting matchup. I'm sure Millbrook will be, kind of favored in that one, but Southern Alamance, they're going to be feeling confident as well.
Absolutely. I don't know that Millbrook expected to be hosting a playoff game at this point, but they will welcome it, I'm sure. Let's go down to the bottom part of the 4A East. Wake Forest, the 3 seed, beat Leesville Road tonight, the 14 seed, 45-21. They will get the winner of tomorrow night's game between 11 Roseville and 6 Cleveland. We're going to hear from Cleveland head coach Scott Riley in just a little bit about that game. But Wake Forest taking care of business tonight against Leesville Road. Another big upset, the 23 seed Jordan.
Yeah,
they beat Pinecrest. The 7 seed, 32-28, and will now travel to New Bern, the 2 seed in the third round. New Bern beat Hoggard 21-0 tonight. I'm going to give a quick shout out to our high school OT football analyst, TJ Thorpe, because before the season even started, TJ told me that with the sophomores they have at Jordan, they would be capable of making it to the third round if everything shook out the right way. And here they are in the third round. In fact, he's actually texting me about this right now. He's very excited about his Jordan Falcons getting to the third round of the playoffs. That was a wild game, though, Brennan, because Pinecrest had a big lead. Jordan came back in the second half and got the win.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier. Pinecrest is winning 28-10 at halftime, but it's even crazier than that, Nick. And this is all the credit goes to moresportsradio.com with their live tweets, and they're using the high school at the HSOT scores hashtag as well. But Pinecrest was driving deep in the Jordan red zone ahead 28-10 in the third quarter with just over 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Amarion Blue of Jordan had a 96-yard fumble return that set up a score to make it 28-18. So Pinecrest already up 18, just a few yards away from going up by 24 points or more. And instead, a 96-yard fumble return by Amarion Blue is what sparked the Falcons' revival in the second half of that one. And all of a sudden, they're walking out there with the win and heading to New Bern in the next round.
Yeah, and Amarion Blue has made a lot of big plays this season as a sophomore. He's going to be fun to watch over the course of the next 2 seasons at Jordan. In the 4A West, we just hit on this a little bit ago, but just real quick to recap, Independence beating Olympic tonight 55-6. You just heard Joel Bryant talking about that one. Only one other game in the 4A West tonight. Everything else still scheduled for tomorrow night out in the 4A West. Weddington beating Cox Mill. And Brennan, we actually have an update on this one, right?
Yeah, just the result stays the same. Weddington moves on. They get the win, but the score was initially reported incorrectly on Max Reps. It's still being reflected in our bracket as a shutout, but the actual final score was Weddington 30, Cox Mill 14. Still a win for Weddington, but Cox Mill did not get shut out. They scored 2 touchdowns.
All right, and we will get that bracket updated momentarily and get that fixed. So again, 30-14 Weddington over Cox Mill. No upsets though tonight in the 4A West. Cannot say the same about the 4As. Brennan, we'll check back in with you in just a few minutes.
Sounds good.
All right, talking about upsets that did not happen in the 4A East, let's bring in New Bern head coach Tori Nowell. Coach, congrats on the win, 21-0 tonight over Hoggard. Tell us what went down. That was Hoggard's known for their defense. Was it tough tonight offensively against them?
Well, of course, the weather was kind of insane down here. Our first 2 playoff games kind of been in the rain, so it's definitely been an experience for us, and we're definitely learning how to play in the elements. So I definitely like what's going on right now.
Tell us what worked tonight for the Bears.
Came out right away, started running a little bit of option, and our quarterback pulls the ball and makes a great play early in the game, and then we run the ball in for a quick score. Then we turn around, run another triple option. Our fullback carries it up the field, probably about 65 yards or so for a big touchdown. And then we just had some couple of issues back and forth about just some ball security and just the weather and just making sure we're doing things the right way.
Undefeated on the season. I know that I don't want to put you on the spot. We have not heard this from you. We've heard from some of your fans that they feel like that the RPI might not have given New Bern the credit that they felt New Bern deserved. Is there a chip on the shoulder at New Bern? Do y'all feel like y'all might be a little bit of an underdog, even though you're the 2 seed?
No, I mean, we thought we could be the 1 seed. Of course, the big win we had in Virginia, we didn't get points for that. And same thing happened last year, but we're going to play those out-of-state games against really good opponents. Of course, we beat Maury, and those guys haven't lost a game since they played us. And they did the same thing last year. They didn't lose again until they played for a state championship. So we kind of understand that at the end of the day, you got to beat somebody. So, I mean, we're okay with it.
This is a team that has multiple weapons, particularly on the ground. You got 2 guys of 1,000 yards plus, 3 guys who have scored more than 10 touchdowns on the ground this season. How nice is it as a head coach to have all of those weapons to lean on, and when you're running the option, have that many guys who can make a big play?
Well, it makes it easier, and of course, we don't throw the ball a lot, and that's what people always give me a hard time about, that we don't throw the ball. But one of the big things with that is saying that we're pretty balanced all the way around. Like, all of our backs are going to tote the ball. And, I was counting tonight. I think we're at 13 running backs who actually touched the ball this season and played in big games, Malachi Dockett, he's one of the guys. He hasn't got to 1,000 yards yet, but he had a big game tonight. You know, he's working his butt up to get back to 1,000 yards. Jaden Wallace is our B-back, and, you know, he broke 1,000 yards last week and had another big game tonight. Aaron Herring, you know, that guy there is always scoring touchdowns, and he's our first 1,000-yard rusher. Our quarterback, Damari Tucker, he's right there, you know. His dive, keep pitches, the option principles there. So I want to make sure that we're constantly doing the right thing and making sure we're putting our guys in the best position to be successful overall.
All right, we talked about offense. As good as it is, the defense is probably even better. This is the 6th shutout of the season in 12 games. You're giving up less than a touchdown a game, just under 6 points a game. This season, I think it's 70 total points you've given up this year. We know the defensive line is really good, but what is it about this defense that is just so strong that the teams can't score?
Sampson and Natavian Green are the heart of our defense. You know, Natavian Green is one of the best teammates that you could possibly ask for on the field. He's all about his teammates. When we're on offense, we're scoring. He's super excited. If we fumble the ball or something, he comes and tells me, Coach, hey, we won't get it back for you. Of course, you know, KJ Sampson was recruited by everybody, and KJ's a big-time player. But we have so many defensive guys on the side of the ball that play. Amari Burke has made a lot of plays for us playing in the secondary. You know, Shamir Wright's made a lot of plays for us. He leads the team in interceptions. We just got so many different guys around there. Tavion Cox, another guy that plays beside KJ Sampson. You know, we got Will Bremer, who's playing DN, and he's playing lights out. You know, we just have a lot of different guys, and you just don't know who you need to block. And that's one of the best things about our team. I think we have one of the best D-lines in the state.
I think a lot of people would agree with that. You mentioned KJ Sampson. For folks that don't know, he's committed to Florida State. We were down in New Bern in the summer doing a TJ Thorpe show with him. Really impressive kid. Tell us about his game individually, though. Like, what does he bring to the defensive line? Because his skill set is pretty rare, and his size is even more rare.
We call him a dancing bear, man. You know, he's a kid that can play basketball. He has feet like a running back and hands like a wide receiver, you know, but he plays on the defensive interior, and he's very quick. He's very elusive, and he does a lot of great things with his hands. And, you know, at the next level, when you get there, those defensive linemen, the best ones, are going to be really good with using their hands and getting off the ball.
All right, one more question for you, Coach. I know it's a late night on a school night. You guys will have the 23 seed Jordan in the 3rd round. They beat Pinecrest tonight, 32-28. I assume you haven't had a chance to scout them just yet. It's only been an hour or so. But what do you know about this team, and what are you going to do to prepare for Jordan next week?
I actually just got off the phone with their athletic director. Their athletic director is a friend of mine, Joe Sherrill. He just got back. He's got up there this year, became the AD. We worked together at Southern Van, so it's definitely cool. We watched the end of the game. They had a big comeback win, and, of course, you know, I was watching, just seeing what guys are doing this season on the regular season, and I saw that Hillside only beat them by 1 point. So we know they're a very good football team. We know those guys are fundamentally sound. You know, in the playoff, seeding doesn't matter. Any night, anybody can beat any opponent. So that's one of the things that we do know. We'll start game planning and figure out what they do and try to take away some different things for them. Of course, I heard you talking about a young man on their team that's been making a lot of plays as a sophomore. So we'll definitely have to constantly work on and focus on that young man and see what he's doing. It's so great. Make sure that we can keep him from doing those things when he plays against us.
That sounds like you got a week of practice ahead of you to get ready for Jordan. Amarian Blue, the sophomore we were talking about, really special player, is going to be one of the best. I told TJ Thorpe he might not be the best player that's come through Jordan after Amarian Blue gets done. So. All right, Coach, congratulations on the win tonight. We appreciate you joining us, and good luck next week against Jordan.
No problem, man. Thank you for having us, and go Bears.
Thanks, Coach. All right, we're going to take another quick break, and we will be right back with more from the Sandhills right after this.
It made perfect sense. I come here every day because of the great customer service and friendly atmosphere. So I bought my Breeze Through Lifetime Refill Mug. For only $19.99, I got a stainless steel mug and get free refills forever. Or grab a regular refill mug for $9.99 and enjoy discounted refills every time you stop by. I couldn't imagine going anywhere else.
Show your support for the best in the Triangle in the WRAL Voters' Choice Awards presented by M&F Bank. From takeout to weekend getaways.
Cast your vote online at WRAL.com/VCAs. And remember, voting ends November 20th.
Welcome to my new holiday outpost at WRAL's Nights of Lights. My elves are hard at work preparing the holiday selfie stations, crafts, and more. And of course, Mrs. Claus and I'll be there. Reserve your visit now.
At WRAL, we have the tools.
Storms are firing up on the Dual Doppler 5000 radar.
We have the team.
We are live here in downtown Raleigh on Fayetteville Street.
And WRAL News at 6 has the people you've known and trusted for decades.
I'm Deborah Morgan.
And I'm Gerald Owens. We begin tonight with breaking news. Every night,
everywhere.
I'm Mark Boyle in the WRAL Live Center this afternoon.
No matter how you're watching.
And that's coverage you can count on. When you see a WRAL certified accurate forecast, you know it's been verified by the largest team of meteorologists with the most powerful tools in North Carolina.
We personally write every alert and send them directly to you so that you'll always know when severe weather is at your doorstep.
Tracking severe weather or everyday weather, no matter where or how you watch. Always local, always live, always protecting what matters to you.
And that's coverage you can count on.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the High School OT Live postgame show. I'm Nick Stevens here in Raleigh. It's been a busy night with the second round of the state playoffs. One region or one classification we've not spent much time on tonight is the 1A bracket. So I want to bring that up real quick and give you a quick update, particularly on the east side here. Tarboro gets the 48-0 win over Southeast Halifax. So the number 1 seed moves on and will face conference opponent Riverside. Riverside beat North Edgecombe, the 9 seed, 44-14 tonight. West Columbus and Washington County will play on Saturday. That game's been postponed. Whoever wins that will travel to Northampton County. Northampton County beat Northside 28-20 tonight. The bottom part of the 1A East, Rosewood, the 3 seed beats Warren County, the 14 seed, 49-16. And now Rosewood will host Hobson, a team they play the regular season. Hobson, the 11 seed, upset the 6 seed Southside, 42-34. Perquimans beats East Columbus. That's the 23 versus the 26 seed. Perquimans 48-14, the winners. And now they will travel to the 2 seed, Northmore. Northmore held on 13-12 over the 18 seed Pender tonight. And that is where we are going to pick things up. We're going to bring in Jonathan Bim of the Pilot. Jonathan, you were at Northmore tonight. That was an exciting one.
Yeah, so I think I've had 2 really good games the last 2 weeks. I had Pinecrest and Laney last week, and now this one goes right down. It's actually realized this game-winning score came the same time as it did last week, so it was 22 seconds to go. So, yeah, it wasn't high scoring. It wasn't pretty. It was about as ugly as the weather. But Northmore pulls out a 13-12 win over Pender. Last year, Pender defeated Northmore 50-12. So this was a revenge game for the Mustangs. They came out and showed it. The offense had scored on the second drive of the game and then had 6 empty drives. And so they get the ball back. 6 minutes left, had 80 yards to go, and it was one of those do or die times. Big third down conversion on 3rd and 8 right early on. It was actually Northmore runs the ball a ton. They ran for 219 tonight. And it's actually a 41-yard screen pass that sets them up back in sets them up in Pender territory. Easy for me to say. And so they just that was the only completion of the night. They ended up going down to score the game-winning field goal or game-winning touchdown, Carson Brady from 1 yard out. So they're up. It's 12-12, and they bring the PAT unit out. Early on in the game, they didn't have their kicker because Kevin Hernandez was playing soccer for Northmore at Voyager Academy. So he comes in at halftime, and the players joked after the game. It was like the water boy. Like Bobby Boucher showed up at halftime of the game. So he shows up at halftime. In the second half, he kicks the game-winning extra point. So Northmore holds on 13-12, sets the school record for their 12th win of the year.
That is, the school record 12 wins of the year is a big deal. But it was far from certain in that one. This is a Northmore team that puts up points in every game they play. What was it about this Pender team that was able to hold them to 13?
So Pender went with the same defense they tried last year, which was putting 5 down linemen, 4 linebackers, and they just said, you're going to have to force us to stop you on the run. And they did. They just really loaded the house down. They've got some really big guys. I was really impressed with Pender. Good size. especially Mecca Carr. Mecca Carr, he was 6'4", 255, a huge kid, nose guard. So he was hard to stop. Pender really, after they really figured out the defense, their offense scored 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. Kelvin Robinson, and Tavion Pickett, 2 really good dynamic runners for them in that triple option. So they go up 12-6 going into the fourth quarter. They were definitely a team that was tested last year. They went to Tarboro in the 5th round, played them tight, so they knew they were going to be a tough challenge for Northmore, and Northmore's defense really showed up, starting with that defensive line, the linebackers. Those guys really made a big push for the Northmore defense in the win.
There was another big game in Moore County tonight. This one was an upset. The 23 seed Jordan goes on the road and beats Pinecrest, the 7 seed, 32-28, the final score there. I know you weren't at that game, but have you heard anything from the Pinecrest crowd about what went down there in that one, or have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I've looked over the stats. I've called Coach Nick Edens. Pinecrest was up 28-10 at half, and they were outscored 22-0 in the second half. Third quarter, Pinecrest is driving, gets to the goal line, stripped. Jordan returns the fumble. Of course, it's Marion Blue. I mean, the kid's everywhere. Scored 96-yard touchdown, fumble recovery for a touchdown. It just really started the wheels rolling for Jordan. They're a dangerous team. Things are going well there for the first time in a while. They won their first playoff game, like you said last week, since 2006. And Marion Blue did everything: 158 yards rushing, a touchdown, which scored with 127 left. So that really set the game up for the Falcons to pull off the upset. Pinecrest just had a lot of turnovers. That's what Nick Edens was saying. They just weren't able to execute there in the second half.
I should have asked you this before we switched over to Jordan and Pinecrest. We can just blame that on my poor interviewing skills. The Northmore team will now host Perquimans. Did Northmore have any thoughts on that matchup?
I think they were more focused on just getting past this win. There was a lot going on the sidelines. But they're ready. I mean, I think it's Perquimans came in. It was them and East Columbus both had 2 wins coming into the playoffs. So that it was one of those things that's like, wow, this is a team that entered the playoff with 2 wins, and they're going to make it to the third round. So they're going to be excited to play anybody, really. I think after how they finished off the game against Pender, it's just one of those things. Perquimans, they're welcome in here, and we'll see what happens when they come to Robbins next Friday.
Yeah, should be interesting. Northmore trying to do some special stuff here this season. Tell us real quick what to expect from the pilot this week.
Yeah, so basically Nick Edens, I'm going to recap sort of his first year at Pinecrest. Wins the school's first conference title in football. Really changes some things, so we'll look back on that a little bit. Preview some stuff with Northmore and Perquimans. I think one of those things, I don't think Northmore and Perquimans has ever played each other, so sort of digging back and just seeing if that's ever happened, and then just seeing what the coaches have to say about each other. Northmore's never made it to the 4th round of the playoffs, so if they can get a win this coming week, it'll be history some more for Northmore. I think they've definitely earned a lot this year.
Yeah, pretty impressive for Northmore. I know they told us at the beginning of the season they were at the high school T kickoff, and they said this was going to be a big season for them, and they were right. It definitely has been.
Yeah, definitely so. 12-0. So we'll see how far they can take it.
Yeah. All right, Jonathan, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thanks, Nick.
All right, let's head out to the Triad and check in from the South Point Dudley game. We've been talking about upsets all night. This was an upset. Joe Serrera from the Greensboro News and Record is here. And Joe, I thought this was not an accurate score when I saw it first. Then I saw your tweet that said this is not a typo.
Yeah.
South Point beats Dudley 74-41. What in the world?
And Dudley led 21-6 with 4 minutes and change to go in the first quarter. Dudley could not stop the triple option attack of South Point other than the first quarter. Held South Point to 24 yards on the ground in the first quarter, and South Point finished with 330. South Point's freshman quarterback, Patrick Blee, was phenomenal. 17 carries for 194 yards and 4 touchdowns. Only threw 6 passes, but completed 4 of them for 86 yards and 2 more touchdowns. Dudley they knew what they were going to face, and they just didn't play defense with discipline. They missed assignments. They missed tackles. The rain had an effect on tackling. certainly. But South Point came in doing what South Point does, no surprises, and they dominated after the first 8 minutes of the game. It was all them, 74 points, and it seemed like they could have scored more.
This is a Dudley team that defensively has been so good. I mean, did they have what did they say after the game? Like what broke down? 74 points is just
a lot of things broke down. Dudley's defensive stats are a little bit misleading in that, other than Eastern Guilford, which is along with Grimsley the only surviving Guilford County teams in the playoffs, as far as I know. Other than that game, the rest of the teams in the Mid-State 3A are not good football teams, and Dudley rolled through them. And we didn't really know what Dudley was until we got to the playoffs, and defensively, they just didn't get it done tonight. You know, they had some explosive plays on offense, but it started out badly for Dudley. Their first play from scrimmage, they received the opening kickoff, and they tried to throw a little swing pass to a running back, and one of the defensive linemen for South Point clearly had seen that play before on film, and he just drifted out right into the path of it, picked it off, and ran it in 16 yards for a pick six on the first play from scrimmage. Dudley scores the next 21 points, but South Point just played a very good, smart, disciplined football game, and Dudley didn't. And then as the rain got worse, hanging onto the ball, tackling, all of those things, Dudley had a lot of problems with.
You mentioned Eastern Guilford. They, the 23 seed, got an upset win tonight in the 3A West, beating Irwin 62-42. Another crazy offensive performance. Yep. What is it about the Eastern Guilford team that allows them to put up that many points? Are you surprised to see them in the third round?
I am a little bit, and I'm surprised at that point total. But they were clearly the second best team in the Mid-State 3A. They went into that Dudley game, and they got off to a really rough start. They had terrible field position all through the first half. They could never really get going in that game, and it was a running clock game with Dudley at Dudley. But they have weapons. Tyreek Boyd is a really good dual threat quarterback. They've got a couple of good runners in Jaden Evans and Javon Cole. Braxton Vega, one of their outside linebacker end type guys, just a phenomenal tackler, pass rusher, does a lot of things for them. He comes in as a fullback. That many points, yes, surprised, but credit to them. Tony Aguilar has done a fantastic job. He was Eastern Alamance's offensive coordinator for a number of years with John Kirby, and he's got that Eastern Guilford program definitely trending back upward.
All right, Joe, tell us what to expect from the News and Record this week.
Well, we will have coverage of this Dudley game. We've got photos on our website already from that. The rest of the weekend is going to be determined by the weather. We're hoping to cover Charlotte Catholic at Grimsley tomorrow night, or Mount Tabor at East Forsyth, but I'm not sure either of those games are going to be played. I think you're more likely to see Charlotte Catholic and Grimsley at 6 on Saturday. And Mount Tabor and East Forsyth might not play till Monday if they don't play tomorrow night. East Forsyth has a number of players on official visits this weekend, and they don't have a lot of players if they play Saturday. They're going to have some issues there, or those guys are going to have to cancel official visits. So they want to try to play that game tomorrow night or Monday. So we'll have coverage of those. Those are the big ones. I think that Charlotte Catholic Grimsley game could be a really good football game. Charlotte Catholic, a lot like South Point in that they're disciplined. They don't turn the ball over. They try to shorten the game. South Point didn't have to do that tonight, but you have to take advantage of every possession you have against them, and you have to get off the field, and Dudley couldn't do that tonight.
Well, that Grimsley game is going to be an interesting one. Obviously, Grimsley, the number 1 seed, and Independence got the win tonight, putting up 55 points. So if Grimsley gets by Charlotte Catholic, that is who will be awaiting them in the third round. So that should be interesting. Joe Serrera, the Greensboro News Record, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to hear from Princeton football coach Travis Gasser. We're going to hear from Vance County, Southern Durham, and Triton and Hunt. That's after this quick break.
Do you have the Breeze Through VIP Rewards app? For every dollar spent in-store and for every gallon pumped at a Breeze Through location, you can earn points to trade for a variety of your favorite snacks and beverages, or for savings at the pump. Don't forget the member deals, only available to VIP members. Download the app on the App Store or get it on Google Play and start earning rewards today.
WRAL's Nights of Lights is back with thousands of new lights. Along the route, you'll encounter 30-foot-tall dinosaurs and a brand new 250-foot animated tunnel. Get your tickets now, as some experiences are already sold out. Stop by the brand new Holiday Outpost and meet Santa. Ho, ho, ho! Get your tickets now at WRALNightsOfLights.com.
Hey, conductor, how about something new? You played this last year.
Come on, get your head out of your sacks.
Shh, we're trying to hear.
Well, I'm sick and tired of hearing your kid play the wrong notes. Where's my kid solo?
At least you can see your kid. Why is my kid stuck way in the back?
The conductor only plays his favorites.
I kid heard that solo!
You saying I did?
Yeah!
Show your support for the best in the triangle in the WRAL Voters' Choice Awards presented by M&F Bank. From takeout to weekend getaways.
Cast your vote online at WRAL.com/VCAs. And remember, voting ends November 20th.
Welcome back to the High School SU Live postgame show. I'm Nick Stevens here in Raleigh. We're going to head out to the 2A East playoffs and talk to Princeton head coach Travis Gaster. Coach, congratulations on the win tonight, 71-34. The 1 seed beating the 16 seed Trask. This is a Princeton team that can put up points. You're averaging over 53 points a game. This is the 5th time you've scored 60 or more this season. What in the world is going on over in Johnston County offensively?
Well, we have a pretty special offensive line and some skilled players behind them, and our coaches just do a great job of putting the pieces that we have in a place to be successful. And our kids have bought into our system and our program, and their hard work shows each and every Friday night when we play.
Tonight, a lot of things had to go right to score 71 points. Tell us what went down in that game against Trask.
Yeah, we were able to get our lanes, where we wanted to run the ball, and we made a couple of blocking adjustments early once we saw what they were going to line up in to try to stop our attack. And our coaches made good adjustments on the sidelines. Our players responded well, and it showed in the score and the production we were able to have.
When the season started, you opened with a loss to Smithfield-Selma. Obviously, a Smithfield-Selma team that is much improved.
Thanks for the reminder.
What has changed since that game, though, for Princeton? What did y'all learn and improve on?
Yeah, man, I think that it just happened at the perfect time for us. This senior group that we've had, they haven't lost a regular season game in their career. And so for it to happen game 1, I really think it was right on time for us. And just to realize that they are not invincible. And the details of football matter, tackling, blocking, all the little things that make you successful. You have to continue to work on your craft and continue to develop and get better, and not just think that the name on your jersey or the decal on your helmet can win you a football game. It just simply does not happen like that. So we went out, we made some uncharacteristic mistakes, and we didn't play our best football, obviously, and we lost. And I think our team learned from that, and they learned how that felt, and have been motivated not to have that feeling again.
This is a Princeton program that finds itself making playoff runs year in and year out now. What have y'all done to build this program up over time that, it doesn't matter, at least from the outside, it doesn't seem like it matters who's playing. You've always got playmakers on the field, and you're winning football games.
Yeah, I'd say it starts with community support. Our community's unbelievable backing behind us. Johnston County is a great place to have kids and to raise kids and to be in a school system that supports athletics and gives you an opportunity to be successful. Our kids have really bought into the weight room and what that brings to our program and the physical nature that we play offensively. That's just a part of it. That's all a part of it that we have to have in order to have a chance to be successful. And I think our kids just make the absolute most of that opportunity. A lot of people have an opportunity to be successful and are not, and some people just simply don't have that opportunity. Our kids do, and they take advantage of it. And I'm just proud of what they've been able to do as a group.
We'll bring up the playoff bracket here for the 2A playoffs, and you can see Princeton will be hosting the 8 seed Cummings in the third round. Cummings beat Midway tonight 42-7. I know it's early, but Coach, what do you know about this Cummings team headed into this third round matchup?
Absolutely nothing. We were laser focused on Heidi Trask and tried to figure out how to stop their quarterback, and didn't do a great job of it. But we're able to get a few stops when we needed them. But I know I've heard Cummings has an unbelievable tailback, and just like ours, you don't have an unbelievable tailback without having a great offensive line and a good system for that back to be in. So looking forward to see what they're going to try to what they're going to bring to us Friday night, and what we can do to try to slow them down.
They do have a pretty good player, a 4-star prospect in Jonathan Paylor, a guy with offers from Alabama and Clemson and State, Carolina, a lot of other schools. Is that exciting to play against guys like that in the playoffs?
I don't know. I've never had. So we'll see. I want to say yes, but Friday night I might be saying no. But yeah, man, anytime you can bring anything to a small town that's got that, a big atmosphere to it, and it's going to bring more excitement. That's the beautiful thing about the playoffs. You don't get to see those people unless you meet them in the playoffs. So being able to have that, it's just an opportunity for our guys to step up and show that they can play with the best in the state, and that's what we want to hang our hat on.
All right. Well, Coach Travis Gaster of Princeton, congratulations on the win tonight, and good luck next week.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it, man. Thank you guys for covering our kids.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. All right, we're going to go to the 3A East playoffs now and check in at Vance County and Southern Durham. Southern Durham picking up a win tonight, 27-7, the final score over Vance County. Matt Page of Tar River Preps was there. Matt, tell us what happened in this one. This is a two teams that know each other fairly well.
Right, yeah, they were pretty, it was a 12-7 matchup with 8 minutes left in the game. So the score is not indicative of, how the final score actually ended. So, but overall, I mean, they played, like I said, Vance had several turnovers, penalties galore. It was raining pretty much the whole game. So, Vance comes into the game averaging 260 yards a game passing, and I'm pretty sure I'd be safe bet they wouldn't have had 100 yards in the air. Everything was just on the ground. It was, like I said, in the last game, I think, it was a very close game till the end. And like I said, Southern was able to get a couple scores there towards the end to kind of, like I said, make the score a little bit better for them than what that game actually was pretty much the whole time.
It was, like you said, it was close in the fourth quarter. We were keeping an eye on that one here, trying to track all the potential upsets as games were going late. Did anything change in the last several minutes of that one that allowed Southern to pull away, or was it just kind of, they just made a play?
I mean, pretty much what happened was just, Vance County with like 4 or 5 minutes left in the game, I believe, threw an interception on their own 20-yard line, which Southern went right down and scored, and then they weren't really able to do anything much past that. So, I mean, that's pretty much how it was. Like I said, just turnovers and costly penalties at the wrong time. That was just a whole on both sides. Like I said, I think it was 5 to 6 turnovers.
Gosh.
Or yeah, I mean, like I said, it was raining, so you kind of. And it really was.
Played a role in that one, I'm assuming.
Right, and normally you have teams, they play, they run the ball a lot when it rains. Well, both teams were throwing, like I said, I think Vance County, Nazir Garrett had 3 interceptions, I believe, and then Jordan McClure from Southern Durham had 1 or 2, I believe. Like I said, I think ball was just, they couldn't get a good grasp of it, even though the people on the side, were trying to keep the balls dry as they could. But
I want to bring up the playoff bracket real quick and just show everybody Southern Durham, after that win, they will now go on the road to face the number 1 seed Northern Nash in the third round. This is a Northern Nash team that has been very good this season. After watching Southern tonight, Matt, do you think they have a shot at knocking off the overall number 1 seed?
I mean, I saw Northern Nash against Bunn earlier in the year, and they looked really good. And so, I mean, and I've seen, Southern have spurts where they've, scored 60 points in a game. So, I mean, it's going to be a heck of a game next week. That's my guess. I mean, I think Southern might have a shot, in my opinion, but it'll definitely be one of the games to watch next week for sure.
All right, and tell us what everybody can expect from Tar River Preps this week.
So South Granville is my other team that I cover. They lost 26-0 to Clinton. So unfortunately, after tonight, we're heading on over to the winter sports once they start. But as for tonight, you can find all the stuff on tarriverpreps.com. I'll have an article up probably sometime tomorrow and photos as well from the game. So.
All right, Matt Page, we appreciate it. Thanks.
No problem. Thank you for everything.
All right, let's head to Harnett County. Well, actually, I guess it was in Wilson County, but we have to say Harnett County because J. Mike Blake works here, and he gets very mad if we don't shout out Harnett County. Donnell Coley is with us from the Dunn Daily Record, and boy, you've got a Cinderella run happening in Harnett County. It's Triton, 35-16 winners over Hunt. You were in Wilson for that one. Tell us what went down in that game.
Yeah, don't let them hear you call them Cinderellas, because they that is something they like to tell me all the time. Like, hey, tell those guys that we're ready. Like, tell those guys in Raleigh we're ready. Stop counting us out. So that's what you're seeing right now. You're seeing a ticked off team that's missed the playoffs the last 2 years. They thought they were a playoff team, and now they're proving to everybody that they should have been in. So that's what you're seeing tonight. I think they were down 10-0 in the first quarter. Just after that, it was pretty much just a rout, just like they did last week with CBA Cock. I mean, the defense showed up. They made their adjustments quickly. You got two dynamic players on offense, and the quarterback, Jalen Evans, and running back, J.J. Cowan. They combined for 3 touchdowns this week. Jalen Evans' 50-yard scramble touchdown right before the half just changed the whole complexion of the ball game, gave them their first lead right before the half, just 30 seconds before the half, and you just see the other sideline was deflated. They came out probably a minute before the second half started. Hunt did, and they just didn't look like the same team in the first quarter. So just hats off to Triton and what they're doing. This is the first time they've been to the third round since 2003. That's, if you do the math, none of those guys on that team were born. So it's an amazing run, and it's good. It's good for the program. It's good for the community here. Harnett County, like you said, you gotta shout them out when you can. I know J. Mike always says that.
I'm now ready to just go to bed and think about the fact that kids playing football were not born in 2003. Right. At this point. Thanks for pointing that out tonight. I appreciate that. What is it about this Triton team, though? Because when they beat CBA Cock, who was the 5 seed in the first round, they put up 53 points on them. Offensively, what is it? Like, what does this Triton team have that allows them to score so quickly?
So, and of course, I don't want to leave people out on that offense. This wing tee that they have is so unique. It's so many different layers to it. There's so many dynamic players that come in and out. So you have your Kamari McDougals and AJ Dewars and Elijah Holmes. He had over 100 yards the past 3 games coming into this one. I don't think he finished with 100 tonight, but he had another touchdown late. And these guys just come at you in waves. They're track stars. They're 2-3 sport athletes, and they're not scared of anybody. And that's really scary for other teams that they just come in there. And of course, I got to shout out the crowd from Triton and Coates, Coates, Irwin, Dunn. they came out and they made it a home game almost out there. So that's hard to do in Wilson.
Did Triton have any thoughts on their next game in the third round when they take on the 20 seed Jacksonville after they upset Havelock tonight, 49-42?
So Coach Ben Penny, he didn't get into that. He kind of saw what the scores were looking like. So didn't really know who was going to play, but he said, just bring them on. Like, this is their attitude. They take it from him. Just bring it on. We're tired of getting counted out. We're tired of getting, projected to be out of the playoffs and just missing the playoffs by a game or two. And we come from All-American, conference where you see Terry Sanford get a crazy win tonight, and they just have so many tough teams split 3A, 4A conference. They're just not scared of anybody, and Coach Ben Penny just exudes that confidence.
And tell us what kind of coverage people can expect in the Daily Record.
We're definitely is just going to deep dive into this. It's an pretty much historic run for Triton. The great 95 team, they Clayton White, they had a run, and that ended even in the second round. So they're only the second team in school history to make it to the third round, and we're going to deep dive into that over the next few days. We'll have a story probably in the next hour or so from tonight, since that was such a huge win for them, and some photos. And Hopton is on the outskirts of our coverage area, so we'll definitely get with Coach Salas and those guys in that air raid and see how far they can take it as well.
Speaking of teams that can score a lot of points. All right, Donnell, we appreciate it. Enjoy the ride with Triton. I know that's got to be fun to cover.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, Nick.
All right, we're going to take one quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have Rod Baxley, the Fayetteville, easy for me to say, Observer, on the big Terry Sanford win. We'll talk to him. We'll also hear from Cleveland head coach Scott Riley and Lee County head coach Steve Bordeaux as they look forward to their games on Friday and Saturday. We'll be right back after a quick break.
It made perfect sense. I come here every day because of the great customer service and friendly atmosphere. So I bought my Breeze Through Lifetime Refill mug. For only $19.99, I got a stainless steel mug and get free refills forever. Or grab a regular refill mug for $9.99 and enjoy discounted refills every time you stop by. I couldn't imagine going anywhere else.
At WRAL, we have the tools. Storms are firing up on the Dual Doppler 5000 radar.
We have the team.
We are live here in downtown Raleigh on Fayetteville Street.
And WRAL News at 6 has the people you've known and trusted for decades.
I'm Deborah Morgan.
And I'm Gerald Owens. We begin tonight with breaking news. Every night,
everywhere.
I'm Mark Boyle in the WRAL Live Center this afternoon.
No matter how you're watching.
And that's coverage you can count on.
Hey, conductor, how about something new? You played this last year.
Come on, get your head out of your sacks.
Shh, we're trying to hear.
Well, I'm sick and tired of hearing your kid play the wrong notes. Where's my kid solo?
At least you can see your kid. Why is my kid stuck way in the back?
The conductor only plays his favorite.
I get her, not solo.
You see what I did?
WRAL's Nights of Lights is back with thousands of new lights. Along the route, you'll encounter 30-foot-tall dinosaurs and a brand new 250-foot animated tunnel. Get your tickets now, as some experiences are already sold out. Stop by the brand new Holiday Outpost and meet Santa. Ho, ho, ho! Get your tickets now at WRALNightsofLights.com.
Welcome back to the High School OT Live post-game show. I'm Nick Stevens. We are wrapping things up here tonight on Thursday night in the second round of the football playoffs. We've got one more guest to come in and talk about a game tonight, Rod Baxley of the Fayetteville Observer. Oh, I like the Panthers gear, although I don't really want us to win tonight, Rod.
Man,
I'm pulling for the draft pick.
I know, man. It is what it is. You got to celebrate the victories. Maybe
there's so few of them. I guess you're right. All right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You were at 71st tonight, right?
I was, yes.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that game first, and then we got to talk about Terry Sanford, because that game was wild. Yeah. So in the 3A East, 14, J.H. Rose on the road, number 3, 71st. 71st holds on for a 28-20 win to advance to the third round. tell us what went down in that game tonight.
Yeah, 71st has been holding on to the loss from last year for a long time, man. They had 4 turnovers in the third-round loss to J.H. Rose last year. They've been thinking about it ever since. So when they saw the opportunity to play them this year, I mean, it was just felt like it was meant to be. Anthony Quinn Jr. was the story of the night for the Falcons. He had 2 fumbles in that playoff loss last year, and he talked about that tonight in the postgame. He said, look, I felt like I let the team down. I was determined not to do that tonight, and then look what he did. He almost rushed for 200 yards, had 2 touchdowns, and a clean sheet with no turnovers. Defense did enough. They kind of faltered toward the end. J.H. Rose scored the last 14 points to make it look a little closer than it was. But 71st, really, they just keep getting it done by pounding opponents. It's kind of like a death by 1,000 cuts type deal with them because their offensive line is so big. You know what they're going to do. They're going to come at you. They're going to run the ball. But there's nothing you can do about it. If they're going, they might have a 6-minute drive, and next thing you know, you're down 14-0, and it feels like a 4-touchdown game. So impressive night for the Falcons. I know they were pumped to get a little bit of redemption after last year's loss.
I'm sure. Now they will play either North Brunswick or Lee County. They are playing on Saturday down in Brunswick County. We're going to hear from Lee County coach Steve Bordeaux here in just a few minutes. Let's talk Terry Sanford because that game was wild. Terry Sanford, if you weren't with us earlier tonight, they beat Scotland tonight 58-55 on a walk-off Hail Mary. That doesn't happen very often. Tell us what you know about this game, Ron.
Yeah, how about some November madness, man? Thank God Brandon Hodge was at that game. I was following his tweets all night, the reporter at the Laurinburg Exchange. I'm going to talk to Terry Sanford coach Bruce McClellan as soon as I get off of here with you to see what went down. But from what I saw, Jalen Wright, which is kind of their change of pace quarterback, they use him a lot in around the goal line for running situations. He was in for the final drive, final play, and threw about a 40-yard pass that was in the end zone. It was tipped by a Scotland defender, and then a senior wide receiver, Patrick Shook, is there to catch it and complete the incredible play that will send Terry Sanford to the 3rd round. So, I mean, wow. What a way to win a playoff game. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, and dude, shout out to Brandon Hodge. He tweeted, he's out with the Laurinburg Exchange. He tweeted out the video of that play. We showed that tweet on here earlier in the show. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. It's Brandon H Sports on Twitter. You can see that video. It's wild. Rod, tell us what you got at the Fayetteville Observer this week.
Yeah, well, tonight, I mean, we had a really good night in Cumberland County. Pine Forest with a big win at Holly Springs, so we'll have a follow-up story there. I just finished my 71st story about their redemption win. And then, like I said, I'll call Terry Sanford's coach up here in a bit and try to get what I can about that crazy win, man. So 3-0 night for Cumberland County. We'll keep this thing rolling as long as we can and provide as much coverage as possible of the team still in it. It's been a fun ride.
All right, Rod, we appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, appreciate it, Nick.
Yes, sir. All right, we do have more games coming up this week. We have games tomorrow night and a couple games Saturday due to the weather. We're going to keep you posted on all those schedule changes, but we do have a few games we want to preview, and we'll start with in the 4A East, number 11, Rolesville on the road tomorrow night at 7:30 against number 6, Cleveland. Earlier, I spoke to Cleveland head coach Scott Riley about that game. Coach, you guys are going to have a pretty tough second-round game against a Rolesville team that tied for its conference title. What do you see in this matchup against the Rams?
Yeah, obviously a very, very talented team. One you don't expect to see in the second round, but I think since the consolidated bracket, there's not many easy games at this point. Everyone's very talented, especially in that 4A bracket. So. And they're no exception to that. Obviously, they got the headliners that are highly recruited with lots of stars, and they're very good. They're as good as everyone has recruited them to. But there's a lot of other players on that team that are very talented and very good players as well. So it'll be a tough test for us, and our guys have been up to those tests so far this year. So hopefully we can continue that trend.
I was talking to somebody here in the office this week about Cleveland and how the last several years, Cleveland's come into the season with these huge expectations externally and internally, but it really feels like you guys have flown under the radar a lot this season, at least to me. Do you kind of feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously when Amarion and Skylar got a lot of attention, and rightfully so, and they moved on to the college ranks, and we're happy about the success they've had this year. But I think there's a lot of talent left on the team, and we're excited about the guys we have and the success they've had.
You've got another really talented quarterback. I joke about it all the time that Cleveland never has a weakness at quarterback, it seems like. Sophomore Jackson Bird, he's thrown for 2,700 yards at this point. He's also run for 12 touchdowns. What does he bring to the table for this team?
I mean, he's a great leader. Obviously, you see the talent on the field each week. He has a Division I arm, but he's also a very talented. If he was just a running back, he would be a guy I think everybody talked about. So you put a Division I arm on the side of that, and it's a exceptional athlete. But he's a really good decision maker, and really has a full grasp of the entire playbook as a sophomore, which is rare. We've played quarterbacks as sophomores before. And he's probably got the best grasp of the playbook this early in his playing career.
Yeah, 35 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That's pretty good for any quarterback, let alone a sophomore stepping in that position. So Friday against Roseville, if Cleveland's going to walk away with a win and go into the third round, what has to happen for you guys?
I think we got to run the football well and stop the run. I think obviously the receivers for Roseville get a lot of attention, and rightfully so. But those backs they have are very talented, and the offensive line has played really well down the stretch as well. So they've run the ball really well and run it a lot. So I think all high school football ultimately comes down to controlling the line of scrimmage and winning the running game on both sides of the ball. So I think that'll play out to be an important factor as well.
Now, obviously, with guys like Noah Rogers, Tamarcus Cooley, they have big play potential. How do you approach that defensively? Are you trying to completely take that away, or are you focusing?
Yeah, I think we got to be aggressive with them and keep the ball out of their hands and try to do those things. I think they're very good players, so they still might get some, and I think we can win the football game and not get a shutout as well. So, obviously they're as good as we faced this year, and we'll try to be aggressive with them and give them a lot of different looks and those type of things as well.
And the good news is if you win, it gets easier from here. You can either Wake Forest or Leesville. So
yeah, I mean the 4A bracket, East or West is no picnic. I look forward to going back to subdivided brackets one day, but
or adding classes, right?
Yeah, I mean, in all reality, there's more teams in the class in each classification, whether it's 1A or 4A, than any other state in the country. Mm-hmm. So I think reclassification or adding classes is important. We've had 4A since, and there's probably 300 more schools added in the time that that they've gone up. That could get you to a whole nother topic, and I'm not a policymaker, but I think. It's going to be tough, but you want to be the best. You got to beat the best at some point, whether it be week 2 the playoffs or week 4. So, but yeah, it won't get any easier as we go.
All right. Well, Cleveland football coach Scott Riley, we appreciate the time and good luck on Friday night. Hopefully on Friday night against Roseville.
Yep, the weather forecast is looking better and better, so hopefully that'll be the case.
We hope so. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you.
All right, so it'll be Cleveland and Roseville tomorrow night, 7:30, weather permitting. And, of course, we'll keep you posted if there are changes. Now, one game that is being played on Saturday in the 3A East, Lee County is going on the road to take on North Brunswick. That's the 22 seed at the 6 seed. Lee County coming off a 41-38 win over Currituck. North Brunswick 14-6 win over Westover in the first round. I also spoke to Lee County head coach Steve Bordeaux earlier about that game. Coach, you guys are going to have a pretty tough second-round game against a Roseville team that tied for its conference title. Well, that was obviously the wrong video. Let's see if we can get the Lee County video pulled up here. That's the one we want. Here we go. Coach, you guys went on the road in the first round and picked up a really tough road win against Currituck. Now you're headed to North Brunswick on Saturday. What did you learn from that first round road game and that environment, that kind of a win that you had to fight for that you think might help you on Saturday at North Brunswick?
Yeah, it was definitely a hard fought game. It was great to see the boys compete and bend in some situations, but not break all the way. And otherwise, we ain't playing this week. We've been on the road a few times throughout this season for some decent trips. Adding another one to it this week, so hopefully that has prepared us well.
Tell me what you know about this North Brunswick team and what kind of a game you expect.
Yeah, they're very athletic team. 10-1, coming from another 3A, 4A split conference. Something obviously we're used to. Played a solid schedule and really dominated a lot of the teams they played throughout. Very athletic on the edges on defense. Really impressed with the quarterback and running back they have overall as a team. They'll be one of the best, if not the best team we played.
You mentioned that 3A, 4A conference split. Do you think that, I know that obviously means tough conference games in the regular season. Does that benefit you guys or teams like North Brunswick when you get to the playoffs that you're playing against those bigger schools?
Yeah, I sure hope it benefits us. We played some really, really tough what I would consider through the conference play and even playing a couple 4A schools out of conference. I think that just the sheer numbers that some of those schools have make you play 4 quarters, where sometimes, some of the top 3A teams against a lesser 3A team may be able to coast. We have not been able to do that. We've played a lot of 4-quarter football games, so hopefully we're prepared to do so.
And you guys coming into this game, you've got a pretty strong rushing attack, but you've also got a quarterback who can throw the ball. When you have a junior coming in that's almost a 2,000-yard rusher, actually might be a 2,000-yard rusher now. I'm not sure how much he had on Friday night, but closing in on 2,000 if he's not already. How big of a benefit is that?
I think as the seasons went on, just having confidence in our running game and the offensive line really playing a huge factor in that. We have 6 linemen that really play key snaps and kind of paved the way for, BJ and JoJo and Mark, our quarterback, to have a clean pocket and do the things he does. But it's been awesome seeing us be able to run the football. Hopefully we can continue to do so.
So Saturday, you go down to North Brunswick. What are the keys? What are you telling your guys at practice this week that this has to happen if we're going to get to the 3rd round? And obviously this is a Lee County program that has made some playoff runs.
Yeah, definitely. I think the boys are used to making some playoff runs, so that part won't be something we're not used to. I think the keys are always going to be in playoff football winning is being able to run the football, controlling the line of scrimmage, and being able to stop the run. They're really good at running the football. We've been really good at running the football. So I think who does the best job probably defensively probably has the best shot to win the game.
Another down to the wire game?
I hope not. Hopefully we can play better early. But I would expect it to be a good game throughout. They're a very good football team, and if we have to come to play.
All right, Coach Steve Bordeaux, Lee County. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
All right, and that game again Saturday. We will have that at least the final score for you on Saturday here on High School OT, and that'll do it for this Thursday night edition of the High School OT Live post-game show. As of now, we plan to be back tomorrow night at 10 o'clock again for another live show. That could change depending on what happens with games that are scheduled for tomorrow and the weather. So stay tuned for that. But we hope to see you back here tomorrow night at 10. If not, we'll be back next Friday for the third round, 10 to midnight, right here on highschoolot.com and the free High School OT app. For everybody that helped out tonight, I'm Nick Stevens. We'll see you next time here on the High School OT Live postgame show.